So this is the story of Brad Lamb. I'm going to read some of this. This is pretty lengthy, but this is from their own words, his own words. So let me tell you a little bit about their story. And there is a plethora of information about this case too. And this is out of Tarrant County. This is the same county. I believe it's a different judge, but same county as Brianna and Journey. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that story, but I covered it a while back. It says, my name is Brad Lamb. My two kids, Isaiah and Aria, as well as my wife, Amanda, have been victimized by Tarrant County family law. My wife has lived under the same roof with Isaiah since he was 14 months old and has been involved in every aspect of Aria's life since birth. It's a terrible injustice that has happened to me and my wife and me. And worst of all, my two young children. In fact, this has affected my entire family and everyone in our lives. My children are, as we speak, in the hands of the person that my son Isaiah has made multiple outcries against their mother and their half-brother. The definition of an outcry, witnessed in the United States law, is the person who first hears an allegation of abuse made by a child or another victim of abuse or sexual crime. The witness is legally obligated to report the abuse and may be called upon for trial proceedings. I will explain the details below of how Judge Meredith Wells, her amicus attorney, Lindsay Newell, orchestrated the cover-up for my children's abuse and shutting down all outside investigations, making up excuses for the abuser, calling my child liars time and time again. We have well-documented case of sexual, physical, mental abuse. Our case has also been documented for an exceptionally long time of the mother giving the children something to make them sleep for 15 to 16 hours straight, from pickup at 6 p.m. through 10 a.m. the next day. We've also documented the drugging of the children that resulted in a horrendous stomach bloat, 8 to 10 hours straight of diarrhea after pickup. Parental alienation is the least of her abuse. We have over 100 pictures of physical abuse as well as a huge stomach bloat, ongoing diarrhea upon pickup from the mother's house. We have testimony of my wife, family members, and family friends that have for years been testifying to the ongoing abuse of my children. We have 2 sexual assault nurses. My son has now made outcries to 6 nurses, 3 separate visits, 2 separate hospitals, 2 of those nurses being sexual assault nurse examiners. SANE nurses is what they're called, at Cook's Children's Hospital. These include graphic details given by my son and made outcries for his little sister as well. He has also made outcries, of course, to my wife and me and various family members, friends, supervisors appointed by Family Court Services, and a play therapist. So, this is pretty lengthy, as y'all can tell. So, Brad's story is pretty incredible. And these kids, now let me scroll up. So, let me tell y'all about these nurses and things like that. They've had 3 supervisors that have said they don't even want to do it anymore because they have spoke out of what they have saw during these supervised visits, which his wife is not even allowed to go to. What has happened to this man and his kids and his family is awful. Let me show y'all something. So this is a polygraph. I'm not going to read all this, but I am going to get down here to this portion. It has the questions. And let me explain this too. The outcries were brought to the parents, to Brad. Brad reports them. And now Brad is the one being ostracized. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? He did not seek this out. It happened to his children in being a proactive, protective advocate, as we all are supposed to be for our children as parents. They told him it didn't happen. This poor man and this family have been through complete hell. I'm not going to get extremely graphic with all the information that I have and that I've read, because I just, it's just too much, and it's not necessarily my story to tell, but I am so willing to help. But as y'all can see right here, no deception indicated. There was 2 polygraphs taken. Let me show y'all something else. This is his wife's polygraph. No deception indicated. I'm not going to show anything really, intrusive. And I've zoomed in, so y'all don't see anything. But you can see the bloating. Let me show y'all something else. So this right here, initially, Brad thought that these were cigarette burns. So as he wasn't getting anywhere, and he reached out, and, he started getting a lot of feedback, a lot of law enforcement feedback, and he was told that those were from being tased, and that's what that looks like. And I have to say, that's what it looks like to me too. There are so many pictures I'm not going to show, but there's bruising, there's swelling, there's bruising on the head, there's bruising on the bottoms, just really excessive. Even for discipline, it's excessive. This literally looks like whether it was a cigarette, whatever it was. These are not normal marks that a kid would get from a bite or anything else. It's not an area where you can just scratch. It's not like a sore. You can tell it's not super infected, which would, if that was just a scratch or a sore. No, that's not what this is. I have 4 kids from 20 to 5. And I'm telling you, the things I've seen is not right. And the personal documents and the accounts of what these children say, what this child says, what the children have said, it is awful. It's awful. And this is not done for clout. This is not a story to better Brad's life. Brad is extremely successful. He is a trainer, a bodybuilder. His wife is, I'm not exactly sure what she does in a profession, but she's successful. These are good people. And they're on their things. He's very health conscious. So it doesn't make sense. This was not something like another case that y'all are somewhat familiar with. Most people are familiar with it. It's not like that. This is nothing nefarious. This man has been locked up. God, y'all don't even know what all this man's been through. All because he reported abuse of his children. Now, it wouldn't be the end, okay, fine. And some of it is unbelievable. Some of it is unbelievable. If I had not seen it myself, it's just so egregious. It's almost like they have blind people reading the documents at their CPS office. There's no reason why something shouldn't have happened. And there's damn sure not a reason why this man is on supervised visits, because he spoke up. He not only spoke up, he spoke out, and he was an advocate for his kids, which is what he should be. He should be. This county has a history of this. It's a history. Let me show y'all something else. I told y'all this judge has a history. She actually has her very own webpage, Impeach Judge Judith Wells. Isn't that something? Not too many people get that. There's so many cases. Let's see, what does this say? Public corruption, bribery, organized crime, domestic terrorists, lynch mob, dangerous criminals, fraud, racketeering. Let's just see a little bit. Louis Carina's team, a defense attorney. I'm not going to read all this. But I'm wanting to show y'all this so y'all would know, like, I wasn't making this up. I wasn't making this up. She's awful. She's awful. And there's a guardian ad litem too. Let's see. I'm going to show y'all another. Well, here's some of the child abuse outcries for help, past polygraph test, court. They threw out the polygraphs. Judge who is responsible for child abuse. Let's see. Let's go see what this one has to say. The provocateur. Tarrant County has a long-standing reputation for its bias and corruption in its courts. In one notorious incident, Texas District Judge George Gallagher of Tarrant County used electric shocks on defendant Terry Lee Morris when Morris tried and convicted for solicitation in 2016. The story received widespread coverage after an appeal court reversed the conviction, citing the judge's behavior. Here's part of the story. This county, this is a history in this county. Making divorce pay. I was first introduced to Tarrant County when I did 2015 article for Capital Research Center entitled Making Divorce Pay. In the article, I interviewed Jennifer Olson, an activist from Tarrant County. The article was about a group called Associated Family and Coalition, but Olson described a AFCC team up locally with Tarrant County judges to take advantage of access to visitation grants. Visitation grants. Did y'all hear that correctly? All right. This is Isaiah's Law. This is one of Brad's children. Look at that poor baby. That big old giant bruise on his damn face. God, this makes me so mad. Allowing civil trial judges to sidetrack the investigation of a criminal assault and serial abuse of our children has got to stop. We need statutory law that will require family court judges to stop the music and allow criminal investigation, and prosecutors to take the perpetrator of these outrages into criminal court and obtain a conviction. Over our experience with the family court system, we have witnessed that authorities often try to make criminal cases regarding children's abuse a civil matter. Guys, and it's not. This is facts. These are criminal charges, cases, crimes. These are crimes committed on these kids. Crimes. Often focusing on the rights of the abuser over the rights of the children. Major change needs to occur, which is why we are looking to make new laws in these cases, one of which being Isaiah's Law, to ensure child abuse cases are handled in the same way as a domestic violence or a blank case. I can't read that word. Because it is in fact domestic violence to a child and blank to a child. SA abuse. Guys, this poor baby, they killed this baby's guinea pig right in front of her. I'm talking about, these are like torturous behaviors. Psychological damage, mental, physical, spiritual abuse, all the way around. The best thing these kids got going for them is these awesome parents, the mom, the dad, and the stepmom, which she's not even a stepmom at this point to me in my mind. She's put in the work. And I'll tell you something else too. It really infuriates me that they're not even allowing his wife to see these kids. They could use a good positive motherly influence. It is disgusting what is happening to this man and his kids and his wife. I'm gonna have this link and a whole bunch of other. Mr. Lamb, Brad Lamb, he is on it. He is advocating for his children in the proper way. He's not exploiting them. It's not like that. He's literally just advocating for his kids. He is not receiving money for this nothing. Like it's not like that. He has a job. He's very successful. I mean, oh God, it's just awful. And I promise you, unless you had sit down and looked at all of it, or you dive into this, at first, at first value, you're like, well, this doesn't make sense, because you don't want to believe that this shit is happening, but it does. That's what this whole video is about, is imbalances. And nobody wants to take this to task. Nobody. This kind of egregious behavior in our systems put out by the government for our children, it should work better than any of them. These kids are our future. And they're children. They're voiceless. They're victims. If they don't have a say, if they don't have a voice, if they speak out, then who does? The perpetrators. And the parents are bogged down. It's mind-blowing to me that this is still happening. This case is still going on. It should be, these cases should be plastered everywhere, but they're not. Why? Because it's hard to believe. And people, I don't even know exactly why. It is hard to believe. But it's change has to come. Change. Look at this giant bruise on this baby's face. Change has to come. Kids do not make up that kind of stuff consistently. Past polygraphs, everything. These parents are on the up and up. This boy's mom is not. She's kind of nuts from everything I've heard. And, and step brothers and sisters, sometimes they abuse, and they are awful to be around children. It's awful. I did just want to say this too, that these babies have also been examined by a forensic psychologist specific in SA abuse, and they passed. These kids, even the forensic, I can't remember exactly what the word is, maybe it's psychologist, but they passed. The kids were not being deceitful. They passed. Their stories were believable. It's awful. This man did everything right. And I cannot believe that this is what's happening. I'm going to leave you with the court proceeding for Brad, and just so you could see a little bit of what, a little taste of what he's been going through with the courts, and it's just awful. And we send prayers for this family. Absolutely prayers. And we're going to keep speaking out.
We may not agree with the reasons, but we're kind of just left to arbitrarily guess at, the reasons, that are in the record. And, I don't think it's that difficult to just lay out what it is that, you're looking for, Judge. It doesn't require argument because it is what it is. It's what you're looking for. It's not, we're not going to convince you to look for something else. It just is what it is. We're just trying to do our job to tie this off and leave Mr. Lamb with some guidance, or his new lawyer with some guidance.
All right. Well, the roadmap that you need to get off of supervised visitation is that Mr. Lamb needs to quit making unsubstantiated allegations against Miss Washington that she's abusing these children, make unsubstantiated allegations that her son is abusing these children, and somehow with his actions compelling the child to make outrageous allegations against these people that are not substantiated, and that the child will not repeat except in the presence of Mr. Lamb. And that's the roadmap.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.